it's your girl Nancy Red, and this is season 3 of Mompreneurs, where every week we celebrate beautiful Black entrepreneurs who are simultaneously amazing business moguls and also moms, listening to their life stories and inspiring advice. Now, all of us curly girls love watching YouTube and IG videos to figure out how to best take care of our hair. And the tips and tricks, as well as the family hijinks of our next guest, are super helpful and very relatable. Ebony Bradley started off on social media just talking about her hair care journey in 2015. But as we all grew up together, she expanded to share more of her personal life, like her up and down IVF journey, and excitingly, her current life as a mom and wife, all while still staying current in the naturally curly influencer space. Welcome, Ebony.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Nancy. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. It is such a delight to watch you and see your business grow. But before we get into your mompreneurship, let's talk about who makes you a mom. Tell us about your household.
All right, so I am married to Alex Bradley, and we've been married for almost 9 years now. And we feels like just recently, but we share a 15-month-old daughter who was born last year. Time is going so fast. I can't believe she's 15 months already. And so we're just a little family of three trying to figure it all out, balance it all now that she's a toddler, walking, running around, and just being her little independent self. And yeah, that's about it.
I love that. How did you and your husband meet?
So we met while we were attending Morgan State University in 2007, and we had a mutual friend, and I went to that mutual friend's house not knowing he would be there to get I was there to get a mix CD made, like an actual mix CD. And my friend at the time, he had all the equipment, and I had been asking him to make the CD for me. And I came over just to finally get it done, and Alex was out front washing his car. And I really didn't pay him any attention at first, but he made me laugh. And that is literally what made everything else perk up. And he was really nice and sweet. And we actually spent that first day together. We, not knowing the other one was doing it, tried to plan, hey, maybe we should call other people and go to dinner so that we don't have to separate. I'm talking to one friend, he's talking to another, and we're all just kind of putting it together, not knowing that the other one is doing the same thing. And once we all went to dinner, it was time to say goodbye. We ended up talking by our cars the entire night, literally standing outside of our cars talking till the sun came up, and I just had to say goodbye at that point because it was just out of control. And even then, I still didn't want to leave. It was just the conversation flowed so well. He was so nice and funny, and we've been together ever since. We got married, moved to Delaware, and have a little baby Lennox now.
I love it. So we know that you were an entrepreneur before you were a mom, but were you an entrepreneur before you were dating your husband?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I graduated college and got a traditional corporate 9 to 5 job, working as like a contractor, helping with project management, and eventually went to go work for the government. And I was basically happy doing that in a sense. I got my degree in business administration, and I thought this is what you do with your degree. You go and get a office job and work your way up that ladder. And everything came to a screeching halt when I came into work and I got a call from my company who contracted my work to the government. He said, "Oh, Ebony, they actually want this to be your last day." And I was thinking, you're joking. And my mind the entire time was like racing, thinking, did I do something? What's going on? And it was all only thing that the only issue was they were cutting back on their budget. They couldn't afford me as a contractor anymore. So I was literally just on a Friday afternoon, that was my last day. And I had to go home and just figure out what I was going to do next. And so for about a month or so, maybe 2 months, my husband, we weren't fiancés actually, we were still dating at the time. He was just saying, maybe you should try making YouTube videos because I have been watching them for years, hair, makeup, vlogs, whatever. And he was trying to encourage me to do it, but I was so shy. I didn't like the sound of my voice. I didn't have the camera equipment. I didn't know how to edit a video at all. And I just wasn't familiar with it in a way that made me feel like I could do it. But he asked me so many times over the course of those 2 months or so, where finally he just said, listen, do one video, and if it doesn't work out, you don't like it, no one watches it, fine, but at least you tried it. And so I said, okay, I'll do one, if for nothing else, get him to stop asking me. And I did the video, and I don't even know how many views it got or how I felt the video was doing initially. I just knew that I wanted to do another one, because I enjoyed doing the first one, even though it took me probably 2 weeks to edit it because I had to learn the software, then learn to actually edit the video, learn how to do the YouTube thing. And I said, I want to do this again because I know I can do it better. And then that just kind of rolled into more and more videos. And as I did more videos, I started to notice, oh, people are subscribing, people are actually watching, and I wasn't doing anything else. I was applying for more jobs, but nothing else was coming up. Nobody was calling. So I said, okay, well, at least I'm doing something useful with my time where I can feel like I'm getting some sort of result, and it's encouraging me to keep moving forward. So that was how I got started in the YouTube space.
I love that. So first comes love, then comes YouTube, then comes
Yes,
marriage, and then
yes,
comes baby. And now
yes.
we're here, okay?
Hmm.
It's been almost a decade. And I like to ask people about their hustle hierarchy. So in your business, because no one has just one aspect, what's the hierarchy of your hustles? What makes up the bulk of your business income? And then what are the other little areas that are also part of what you do?
So I would say the bulk of my income comes from sponsored campaigns. Most of the bigger campaigns, I was signed on for a period of time versus like, oh, we just want you to post a reel, or we want you to post a story. It's when I'm contracted for good periods of time, maybe 3 months or a little more, give or take. Those are the bulk of my income, and then everything else after that is like Amazon affiliation links, or when Instagram had the bonuses for the reels, that was an income source. Same with the YouTube. YouTube has always been consistent as far as that goes. It's so funny. Instagram is always trying to find the next thing or take this bonus away and give you this bonus now, but YouTube has always kind of just been that same consistent person. And yeah, I feel like that's pretty much it as far as everything else under the sponsored campaigns.
That's incredible. So since you got fired or let go, you didn't get fired, you got let go because they didn't have enough money for you.
Yes.
have have you dabbled in going back, or has this just been full speed
Oh,
ahead with your influencing?
oh yeah, I definitely went back because I was still building my YouTube platform, and I would say, what was that, 2015? No, 14, 2014. Or is it? I can't quite remember.
I have 15 in my records, but who knows?
Okay,
Who knows?
yes,
One of those
15.
years, a long, long time
2015.
ago.
Yes, that's what it was, 2015. I always get it mixed up because I was let go right as the new year happened. And so I just remember thinking, this is my new year, happy new year. But yeah, after a while, we were, getting married, and I just wanted an income, something steady, something that I was used to and could predict. So my friend who I had outside of where I worked before, he was a police officer at the time, and he said, "Well, we at the station we're opening up a non-emergency call center, so maybe you could do that. It'll be really good money. The city has this large budget. It's brand new, so you'd be one of the first people." Working there. And I was like, I do not want to work for the police. I don't care that it's non-emergency. It's just too much going on, anxiety wise, of people coming in. Wait, what if someone comes in there and does something? I don't know. But he assured me, you'll be fine. I'll be there. I obviously know everyone there, I'll have people looking out for you. So I said, okay, fine. Because still, I didn't have anybody trying to hire me. I had been applying for jobs and no one had really reached out. So I did the non-emergency call center for the police station, and just the process, the onboarding process, you would think, oh, you're just answering calls about, hey, there's a unusual car that's been parked out front of my house for 2 days. Can someone come check it out? You would think, oh, that doesn't take much. But the onboarding process, they had me do all kinds of lie detector tests and uh, what is it, psychological exams, evaluations, all kinds of things. And I just remember thinking, I do not want to do this. This is why I didn't want to do this. And it worked out for a while. I actually ended up working there for 3 years. And only reason I left is because they switched the non-emergency calls to police dispatching. And that was just way too much.
The frog boil got really hot. It was just like,
Yes.
okay.
I could not understand what they would say because the nature of police officers on a radio is very mumbly, quick codes. And you have to not only be able to hear all that, but type it all so that, like, they have their language and then we have our language where we have to type it in that doesn't quite match. So you kind of have to like translate it, all while maybe there's a domestic situation happening inside of a home, and you have to really be clear minded, understand everything that's happening, anticipate so many different things. And I said, I got to get out of here. My stomach would be in knots before showing up for work. My body was just responding really negatively to it. And I just had to quit, even though I had no other job lined up. I had to tell myself, you are smart. You can do this. Your instincts are right. Trust them. And after I quit, I felt just a huge weight off of my shoulders. Like, I had never quit a job before. I'm very much structured where go to school, get good grades, you graduate, go to college, get the job, and you show up and do that job well. And if the only time you quit a job is when you have one lined up. And so that was the first time I had quit a job without one lined up. And I really just had to trust God and say, I know that I physically can't do this anymore. So God, you got to do the rest. And it was one of the best decisions that I made. And I still kind of remind myself of that anytime I feel like I'm unsure about what I'm doing and not listening to my voice inside of me. And it was one of those learned lessons that I had to learn in order to grow as an adult.
That is so great. And you gave it the best you could.
Yeah,
And you spent, you
yes,
held out as long as you could. But
I
what
did.
did you see happen with your entrepreneurship when you quit your job?
So when I quit, it wasn't this story of, oh, she had this horrible job, made her sick, she quit it, and then her business blew up. It still took a lot of time because after I quit that job in 2018, that was when me and my husband moved here to Delaware. And then there was a transition with that. 2019 was, the year that it was, and then COVID happened. So it was just really kind of like plateau. I kept making videos, I kept putting out content, but I didn't really know. I don't want to say I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't really know what would happen. So I was just kind of doing things in a sense that if I'm consistent and I continue to put the work in, then something will happen. Something has to happen. And once COVID happened, it did inspire me to do some other small things that, like stepping outside of my comfort zone that I hadn't done before. And that was when I actually got signed to my talent agency. So it was kind of like that break that I knew would happen if I were to just stay consistent, even though I didn't know what was going to come down the pipe. Because, I had quit my job, moved to a state with my husband, who, his family is here, but I've never lived here before. And I have to like grow this internet business. Meanwhile, my dad and family, they're all like, are you still doing, you're doing those videos? You're doing like, no one really quite understood They just knew I was doing video, but they didn't really know what it was
No,
for.
and we had to remember, it's just like Jared Hill and his co-writers say in their book, Historically Black Phrases. You have to add the little. You still doing your little videos?
Yes,
You
yes.
still doing your little YouTube? Like, shout
I have
out
to
to you
catch
too.
myself.
Oh, I know. It's so real, right? No, and it's diminutive, and you're just like, am I
Yes.
crazy? Because I feel like I'm on
Right.
a path that nobody can see.
Right, exactly. Meanwhile, I'm questioning too, because I'm so outside of my comfort zone. I'm thinking, is this just a little YouTube thing that I'm doing? Like, no, 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 no. You put out too many videos. It's been too many years already, even though it would have been like 3 or 4 at the time. But it was enough for me to say, I'm going to keep going. I have to. And especially because people would then, you know, message me or make comments like, hey, can you do a video about this? Or your videos have really helped me, with my hair, learn how to grow my hair or learn how to take care of it. It was things like that that made me know, like, okay, I'm going to continue this. Even if it turns out to be nothing, I really don't know. I just think of that picture, that cartoon of that guy like in the mines, and he's this close to the diamond and he doesn't know it, so he's turning away. And it's been something that I've seen floating around the internet for years, but it always comes back to
Oh,
to my remembrance. Yeah, to my mind
that
when I'm
imagery
like,
is very
yes,
frustrating.
yes, very.
So, oh, it's itchy. It's itching me. Like, okay. So, when do you feel like you first got a glimmer of the diamond? When do you feel like was a moment in your business where, ha, it has paid off? I see the
Yeah.
ROI.
Yeah, so when I got signed to the talent agency, that was when I felt like this is what I was waiting for, especially when I told my parents, because I told them over the phone. And I I kind of heard my stepmom. She was like tearing up while she was talking to me. I said, "Are you crying?" And she was just like, "Yes," because in my mind, I'm thinking, "Well, I still have all this work to do. Maybe this is still new. I have to prove myself. Like this is great, but my over analytical mind is still like over here somewhere, thinking." I have all this work to do. No, don't celebrate yet. We'll celebrate later. But when I heard that in her voice, I was thinking, no, this is a big deal, because I had been kind of on the fence about signing with a talent agency because I didn't really know much about it. I saw that other people were signed to a talent agency, but no one had ever talked about it openly, at least not that I saw, to the point where I felt like, okay, I'm familiar with what they do. These are the obstacles that you could potentially come in contact with, or this is the great side of it. This is all the things that can happen, that will happen. So I was a little bit unfamiliar, and I had played with the idea, but I didn't really know for sure.
So when you sign with the talent agency, okay, that's a
Hmm.
moment. Also, shout out to supportive parents because you are a
Yeah.
grown woman at this point. You married in
Yes.
your own house, states away, and you still got not just your stepmama tearing up at your success. Gotta
Hmm.
love it. And it's such a key
Yes.
part of, we as moms are very supportive of our children,
Hmm.
right? And we need the support too. You need the
Yes.
champions and the
Yes.
inspiration. And so the talent, having reps changes the game because you go from someone
Hmm.
who seems like they will accept free stuff to 5 figures. So what was the first big campaign? What was the first big thing after you got signed
um,
that like was very exciting for you?
So one of the campaigns, I got like $20,000 for hair content, and I was like, whoa, whoa, this is a huge deal. I got to do well. I want to make sure that they're happy with all the work. It was a lot of work, though. I will say that, and it was work that they wanted it done in ways that I don't necessarily do. Like for example, they wanted voiceovers before the video was actually shot, and I'm thinking, why would I do a voiceover before the video was shot? Because my video dictates what I actually say, and at the end of it, I was thinking, this is why they know what they're doing, and I won't say that I don't, but this is why I should just, accept, because once all the footage was shot and I had the voiceover ready to go, it was so much quicker and easier to kind of wrap things up versus doing everything, like grinding it out step by step, and first, figuring out what the content will be, then shooting the content, then editing, then writing a script, then doing the voiceover. Having the voiceover ahead of time kind of gave me a framework and a plan for how to shoot it, what to do, because I knew what I was going to say initially. So it just really taught me, it is good to try things different ways, especially when they're giving you all that money. And it worked out well in the end. It's something that moving forward, I probably would be open to doing again.
It's like getting paid to learn.
Yes, yes.
And so you got into the hair care space. We've all been obsessed with figuring out how to deal with our hair. And it's so much
Hmm.
fun. And creators like you make it, you do all the hard work so we don't have to.
I
Yeah,
know, I know.
you test all the products, you figure out the
Hmm.
twist outs, you share your journey. But how, once you became a mother, how did that shape your entrepreneurship? How did you go? Because you were focusing 90% of your work was natural hair care, right?
Yes, it for sure was. After becoming a mom, I definitely wanted to incorporate that part of my life into my content. And it's one thing to think about something and completely different when you're trying to put it into practice, because I underestimated the level of tiredness that I would reach since becoming a mom, because even though, for example, she sleeps through the night, I don't sleep through the night because I know that she's sleeping in the next room. And so my body has just like turned this corner of, it's very hard to actually completely be asleep in that non-conscious, got some good sleep way. So trying to balance that with like really just pushing through, like, okay, maybe drink a cup of coffee or maybe drink some green tea or whatever that's going to help get myself in this space of, I can do this, let's get focused, let's buckle down, because I love sharing mom content with my audience, because Lennox makes it so enjoyable. She has completely turned my way of filming on its head in some ways, because like I said, in my head, it's going to go this way. It's going to, I want the vision to be this, to be that. And I put her in front of the camera and she's going to do whatever she feels like doing or not doing. And then I have to work around that. So I have to keep my energy up and my mental in the positive place to actually bring what I have in my mind to fruition, because I want it to still, be enjoyable and still be at the level that I'm used to my content being at. But I think that's really the fun of it as well. She is the variable in my content when it comes to her, and it is a lot of fun, and it gives me more space to be creative in ways that I wasn't expecting to be creative.
I love that. Okay, so we are here. You
Mhm.
are now knee deep in all of this. How do you make it happen while simultaneously being a present partner,
Yeah.
a present mother, present for yourself? How do
Hmm.
you balance all? Because what people don't realize, these videos are hard because
Yes.
it's hard enough.
Yes.
Think about washing your hair on your own,
Hmm.
how awkward you look, how messy it
Yes.
is,
Yes.
titties flying, hair everywhere. How do you...
Yes. Yes.
Let's just be
Cold.
real. I see y'all in these videos. I'm like, how you doing this?
It's a mess. It is a mess. So I like that you said present, because that's definitely something I'm always working on. Just being mindful of me being on the phone, editing, because when I'm editing and trying to figure out like detail, I can like kind of close my ears off to what's going on around me. And those are the moments where I'm thankful for my husband, because he keeps her busy and occupied, but at the same time I feel like I'm missing out. So I try to I'm currently working on a routine where I wake up much sooner than she does so that I can get my day started, even if it's just getting her breakfast started before she's up so that she can eat sooner and be, in her comfortable, okay, satisfied place versus me trying to wake up when she wakes up, brush my teeth, change her diaper, all those things. And it can be a lot. So I'm really trying to stick to a routine and just trying to kind of go with the flow at the same time because she will definitely dictate any sort of like bump in the day. Or for example, she normally sleeps 3 hours, but yesterday she slept for an hour and a half. And I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? Like, she'll lay in her crib for a while though, which is the good thing. She's pretty independent, but with her, things change. Her stages and phases are ever changing, so I kind of have to leave space for that. But yeah, I'm trying to create this routine and stick to it because that's the biggest thing.
Well, you
Because with
also use it, right? Like you talk
yeah,
about it in your work. I mean, I think one of the things that was interesting for you is it you kind of had to become more personal. Like it used to just be the hair
mhm,
videos,
mhm,
the styling, the trying different products. And
yes,
we'll get into like how you did that in a second. But then what made you get more personal? Because behind the scenes you were going through some things and then you decided to start
yeah.
sharing that.
I decided to get more personal because other people being more personal in that space really, really helped me. And it helped to manage some of my expectations as far as trying to get pregnant and going through the IVF process, becoming a mom, what that actually looks like and feels like. It just seemed like the necessary thing to do in that way that I'm giving to my subscribers and my supporters and my followers and all of that. I want to give them something that they can, take away that's not just kind of like surface. Hair is great and we all love it and we want to look our best. And, but I also feel like when people can grab onto you in a way that maybe you're a little afraid to let them, those are when the best connections and the best moments happen. And that's what makes people really connect to you because it humanizes you. And it also allows you to relate in that way that maybe they weren't expecting. I before going through IVF, I knew that, well, let's say when I wanted to have a baby, when I decided that, I'm ready, let's try this. IVF was something that I knew about it, I was familiar with it, but I didn't want to go through it. I just thought that that wouldn't be something that I would have to go through. I'm young, I'm healthy, and I'll be fine. So once it was obvious that that was the process that I was going to have to go through, being able to just go on YouTube and see some of the people that I was familiar with already going through that very process and actually making it real what that looks like, because it wasn't all bad, and that's what I think the fear was. I thought it would just be this really stressful and anxiety ridden thing, but there are some good moments and some good things that happen that come out of it that I think is necessary to see as well. So giving my supporters that peek into my life in that way, I think that's something that I love. I want I if someone were to come up to me and say and tell me that that really helped them, or when I see comments that really specify how they're going through it now or they're going to go through it and my content has helped them, like that's amazing to me.
And it's really important because sometimes we can feel so alone. And as we know,
Yes.
the gram encourages the fake life.
Oh my gosh. Oh yes, good old Instagram.
What is your advice to other content creators who are nervous about breaking that third wall of sorts and being more realistic about who you are?
hmm I would say to really listen to that instinct that you have. What I like to practice is when I'm having a feeling, a complicated feeling, a huge feeling, I like to kind of investigate, okay, where is this coming from? What is the actual fear? And I like to play out in my mind, okay, so if that happens, then what? Okay, that happens, then what? And a lot of times I get to a place of, well, that's not so bad, and that probably won't even happen. So if you kind of break down those feelings and figure out why it is maybe you're nervous or hesitant, figure out what those reasons are and if they're worth you holding back something that you believe could help someone. I think a lot of times we let the fear direct what we do, and a lot of times we can look back and think, oh, I wish I would have done that differently. I wish I would have just gone for it. And I think that's important to really delve into those feelings and sit with them for a while to determine, is this a real true concern that I would be fine with 5 to 10 years from now, knowing that I didn't go through with it? Or is this just something I'm physically reacting to and it might just pass?
That's a really great way to look at it. Like, is this a moment? Is it like
Yes.
wanting a donut? Like,
Right, exactly.
okay, because so much of this is movie magic. Because no one wants to watch a hair video like you make your videos look very, they're very fast and very
Mhm.
smooth, and I'm just like, oh, I've learned a lot in a very brief period
Right,
of time. And
right.
you look so cute, and where, how are you doing this so
Hmm.
neatly? What are
Hmm.
your tips and tricks to getting these washing, styling videos so down so that they look like a professional output, because that's what you are.
Thank you. I think one of the biggest things I've tried to continue to be skilled in or to practice is always being open to learn. I love looking at how other people shoot content, and it doesn't even have to always be hair content. It could be, a video of someone. I'm like blanking out. It doesn't always have
Like
to
cooking
be a,
food, like the food
yeah,
videos.
cooking food.
There's a
Does
there,
Yeah,
yeah.
cooking food or a sports game. I don't know. I just love, like, for example, most recently Victoria Monet's video for All Right. A lot of that video, I mean, first of all, the video is so beautiful. It's well edited, all of the above, her looks, her dancing, everything. But I feel like a lot of the shots, if you're watching it, you're thinking, oh, this is great. But if you break it down, a lot of why it's so great is how it's being edited. And I love looking at stuff like that because it inspires me to try new things or to at least seek out, hey, what was that, so that I can know for the future. So if you just always be open to how other people are doing things and trying new things, trying to learn from what's out there already, because there's so much out there. And just practice. I look at my old videos, and that's funny. When I shot them, I knew, I was like, I'm gonna look at this years from now and think, what was I doing? But it was the best that I could do at the time. Like, I had a ring light that would attach to the very end of the camera lens, which was so ridiculous because it was just like a bright light right in my face. But it's what I could afford, and that's what it was at the time. Versus now I have, 5 lights in a room so that there aren't many shadows and I don't have to worry about post production, editing, and all that stuff when it comes to lighting. So you just have to practice, and be okay with it not feeling perfect, because it won't ever be perfect. There's no such thing. So you always have to be practicing and trying to get better. And at the end of the day, most people don't see the imperfections that you see. A lot of people just see a really nice video. And when you go with that, you're much more likely to attempt and continue with more videos.
It's so true. And you don't need to look at those videos like, what were you doing? Because what you were doing was building an empire,
Right.
and taking
Yeah.
advantage. And you've already mentioned, TikTok is always consistent. Instagram is weird. I mean, we're not even gonna talk about
Yes.
X. I mean, Threads. What are you talking about? They start paying people. Like,
Oh my
how do you
gosh.
figure out? What is your advice for people trying to figure out where to start, what to do? What do you think someone who has never done any of this, who they have their little sad camera and their ring light,
Mhm.
where should they begin?
I think where you feel most drawn to, that's where you should begin. If you feel really comfortable and good while you're on Instagram and watching other videos, and you feel like, you know, I love funny videos or I love beauty videos, and you follow people who do those particular ones, and you feel like you have that feeling, that pull, like I want to try this. I want to try this and see what it would look like for me. I would start there. I know, for example, TikTok is a much more stripped down version of Instagram, where people are way more candid. It's less polished. I don't even know if it's polished at all most times. Like, people literally are in their bed sometimes with their bonnet on, complaining about the most recent pop culture whatever, and it gets a million likes. And it's just because it's real and it's funny, and there's no one like you, so your perspective will always be unique. And if you feel most comfortable in that stripped down way, then TikTok might be the best place for you to start, because there's a community of people there who already know what it is when they log onto that app. You can obviously always try that in other platforms, but wherever you feel most comfortable, that's where I would start.
That's so key because with comfort comes discomfort, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
got to at least have a baseline of, okay, I have this under control, because there will be
Yes.
challenges. What would you say has been the most challenging aspect of your business growth?
Oh, the most challenging, this is like an easy one, is not getting caught up in the numbers of things. I am consciously all the time reminding myself, numbers are, I won't say that they're trivial per se, because to some degree, content creation, especially when you're assigned to an agency or you're trying to make this your career, those numbers will tell a brand a lot of times what you're capable of. So I understand why we get caught up in it. It's only natural. But at the end of the day, we cannot control those numbers. So it's a very thin line to walk. And I know for me, the best thing I can do is to not put a whole lot of stock in it, because I can only do what I'm capable of doing. And what that video is going to do or that picture is going to do when I put it out in the world, it's like, see you later. I hope it all goes well for you, because I can't, it's only so much I can do about it. But so that's been the most challenging thing. I always have to remind myself, leave that alone. Don't worry about that. The right people will see you. The numbers are going to do what they're going to do. And it's just the nature of the beast. So once you are settled in that idea and that belief, it's a little bit easier to move forward.
That's so key.
Mhm.
And you never know. Sometimes there are big surprises. What would you say is the most
Oh, yeah.
surprising, successful video that you've had? That you're just like, I love this.
The Kiki Palmer video that I did back in, I think it was the end of 2019. It was for a Halloween post that I was making, and I people often tell me that I look like Kiki Palmer anyway. Like, I don't get any other, you know who you look like? I always get Kiki Palmer, and I love her, by the way. She's such a, like,
She's
I'm talking
amazing.
like I know her, but and she just exudes
We
like
all know
positivity.
her.
Right,
She is our spirit animal.
exactly, exactly. She's such an entertainer and somebody that I feel like is so relatable. And at the time I was thinking, who can I impersonate that'll be not too difficult to where I feel like, ugh, overwhelmed, but also that would spark some sort of, like, you know, a spark in my content creation that can maybe turn things up a little bit. And when she did that sorry to this man video, it was so funny when I saw it anyway. But I looked at her hair and her outfit and the setup. I was like, oh, I could do this. I could do this. This is not too much. I can memorize those 4 or 5 lines or whatever it was. And it was such a good. I remember I didn't even have a green screen at the time. I had a green bath towel that I hung behind me right in this room.
Not a bath towel.
I was like, I knew I should have ordered that green screen, the sheet off of Amazon. I was too busy doing other things, but I had it. Thank God I had this green bath towel so that I can make it easy to look like I was there. And and it just worked out perfectly. I remember so many people liked it, commented, it made it to the shade room. And at the time, Kiki was on Good Morning America, the third hour, with Michael Strahan and I forget the other lady's name. I really like her too. But yeah, she was on that show and they actually pulled up the video during their segment. I guess they had like a social media segment or something like that. And they pulled up the video and Kiki, she loved it and she said, we have to get Ebony down here. And so they actually called me to go to the studio, but she ended up having to go to Paris or France or something like that the next
Nah.
week. I know I was so devastated, but I was like, oh well, maybe next time something else will come from this. Who knows? But yeah, that was probably my most unexpected. I just thought I would get a lot of likes, because it wasn't hair related. It was just, this little impersonation video. But yeah, I think that was the best, most unexpected one that I had.
It's amazing. And it just goes to show how many different fun things can come of your
Oh
entrepreneurship.
yeah.
Before we go, could you leave our viewers who are, working on this and trying to get some inspiration for their own
Hmm.
personal goals out of this with whatever your business and maybe even your life mantra is, some words of wisdom to live by?
Sure. So I actually have a list of phrases, statements that I go to in my phone for when I'm having a tough time or just feeling really unsure about myself. And I recommend anyone who wants or needs to hear some words of encouragement, don't wait for other people to give it to you. You can speak it to yourself. And I found that it helps tremendously because when you're having negative thoughts, those negative thoughts can affect you, but the positive thoughts can affect you just as much or even more, prayerfully so. So um, one of the things that I like to remember is everything has a season. When I'm dealing with something that's a little bit difficult, I always remember that this is gonna pass. It's not gonna last forever. And for something that's more motivational, I always like to remind myself that you're capable of achieving the things that you want. And I remember when I wrote that to myself, I thought, well, yeah, I'm capable, but you kind of forget that when things aren't going the way you want them to go. You start to feel like maybe this isn't for me or maybe I can't do it. But no, you have all the tools, all the capability in the world. You just have to have that motivation. You have to keep your mental in check because there will be difficult times and things that will challenge you, disappointments along the way. But if you remember that you are capable and consistent, you'll be fine. You will definitely be fine.
That's wonderful. Capable and consistent. Those are
Yes.
key words here.
Yes.
Capable and consistent. Okay,
Yes.
we can't leave without you participating in my favorite segment, which is called
Sure.
Mompreneurs Manifestation. Mompreneurs Manifestation is where I ask each guest what's next for you or what you're hoping comes next. And you let us know how we can help to manifest success for you in this endeavor.
Oh, okay. Um, so what I really hope to come next is I definitely want to still stay within the hair space. And because I feel like that'll just always be the love deep down in my heart that I have. And that's what got me here. And but I also hope to move more into the mom space as well because being a mom now, I've learned and am still learning so much that I would love to share with my supporters. And I need to learn from them too, because a lot of my supporters have kids already. Some of them are completely grown and out of the house. So I need a lot of suggestions and advice because you just can't. I mean, some people probably think you can have too much, but I don't. And I just hope that my brand eventually becomes bigger than just me. Like I want something that will live on beyond Ebony's Curly TV. And I want something to not necessarily pass on to Lennox because that would be great if she wants to do the same thing that I'm doing, but I also want to show her, this is what I did, this is what helped raise you, and I want her to feel confident in whatever endeavor she has as an adult. And let me think. One more. manifestation I have.
I'm
I would
listening.
love, I would love to work with Sacred. I love
Oh,
their hair care line. Yes, I've been a Beyonce fan anyway, but these products, if her name wasn't on them, I would still love them. They're so good. So working with them would be a really big deal for me.
well, can you get your agent on it? Be like, yeah, get Sacred on the
Listen,
line.
we have been knocking on his door. I think because of, the magnitude of the brand, it's everybody and their mother, grandmother, cousin, uncles are like, let me in, let me in. So I think I haven't ruled it out altogether. I feel like somewhere down the line, there's still possibility. But yeah, I would love to work with them.
Well, we will see what we can do because anything is possible when you put it out in these streets.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's
Eh.
incredible. Well, we are so grateful for you to be here with us, Ebony. Okay, tell us where
Oh,
everyone can find you and learn more about the work that you do.
all right. You can find me at Eb's Curly TV on Instagram, TikTok, Ebony's Curly TV on YouTube. And yeah, I'm just out here on the internet. If you run into me out in the real streets, please say hello. I love when I see a supporter out in person. It makes it so much more real and just like the connection is there. And yeah, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this interview and got to learn a little bit more about me.
Oh, you're incredible. We had a
Thank
blast.
you.
Thank you so much for being
Yes.
here.
Thank you for
And you
having
heard,
me.
oh, it's a delight. Thank you for doing all that you do. I have really enjoyed watching you over the years. I'm so glad you could take the time. And you all heard her. You know where to find her all over. And thank you so much for listening and watching Mompreneurs. Just a reminder, a brand new episode goes live each Monday here on Urban One Podcast Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit Urban One Podcasts to learn more. That's urban, the number one podcast.com. Mompreneurs is brought to you by the Urban One Podcast Network and MadameNoire. Created, produced, and hosted by me, Nancy Wren. Executive produced by Sarita Wesley, Allison McGovna, and Tanya Hoffler-Moore. Produced and edited by Jiminique Miller.